Okay, number 4. The very first step on your calculator steps page. What do you have to do? Make sure what? All terms are on the same side. Are they here for number 4? Yes, they are. Having f of x, h of x, g of x, n of x, whatever of x is the same as having what? A y equals. All your terms are already on the same side. So I'm ready to type this into what? Into my y equals, into my calculator. So go to y equals, type in that equation. Mine open. What equation is that? All right, x squared minus 6x. Yes. Come back here. So after you're done typing in that equation, what is the next step? Step 2. No, step 3. Zoom 6. Now, when we press zoom 6, we're trying to make sure we can see the what? We're trying to make sure we could see the vertex, correct? If you cannot see the top or the bottom of that parabola, you need to press zoom 3, but we can, so we can move on. What's the next step? Step 4. Press trace. When you press trace, you can see that equation that you typed into the y equals, but the bottom 2 numbers give you the x and the y value of the y-intercept. So let's go ahead and write that one down. 0, 0. I told you guys that you could also get the y-intercept from your equation, but I don't see a 0 here. But I did say that that y-intercept is the number that's by itself. It's the number that that third term. And there is no third term. So what can I add to the end of this equation and it won't affect it? Plus 0. There's my y-intercept. That's where I get those 0, that 0, 0 from. It will not always be 0. The third term is your y-intercept. The number that's out there by itself is your y-intercept. In this first example, we had 3. In example number 2, we had that -1. In example number 3, we had that 15 that we had to move over. So it did no, because here it's 6x, right? Look over here on example 5. You have a number without an x. This is going to end up being your y-intercept once you move it. So next, your vertex. Before I move on to the vertex, I need to go ahead and write down if we have a maximum or minimum. What is it? It's going down low, so it's a minimum. I'm gonna go ahead and circle that before I forget, because when I press second trace, I tend to forget things. Before I can press second trace on my calculator, what do I need to do to that star? Move it as close as you can to the vertex. In this case, we have to go to the right. And we're always paying attention to what? Which value, the x or the y? The y value, the y-axis determines height. Y is the one that goes up and down. Y tells you high and low. In this case, it will tell you how low you can go. And the lowest should be -8.99. That 8 is kind of hiding behind the star. Okay, everybody there? So now what do? We press second trace. And which one are we going to pick, 3 or 4? Press 3 because it is a minimum. You don't have to scroll down all the way down to 3 and press enter. Just push the number 3. Now you see the word left, or you see the question left. How many times to the left? 2 and enter. How many times to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter, enter. And there's my minimum. It's not the minimum, it is your vertex. It will label it as a minimum, but this is your vertex. 2.99999, close enough to 3. So we're going to write it down as 3, -9. 3, -9. So 3, -9. label X and Y. Labeling your vertex XY helps you a lot, especially when you're trying to fill in all of these other features, okay? So my minimum value, which I will ask you to write on your assignment, your minimum value is what? -9. Color code that with your other color, not the yellow. So it should be what? Green, orange, blue, pink. The Y value of the vertex, bless you. Axis of symmetry, line of symmetry. The only way to describe a vertical line is by having what in the front? X equals. X equals what number? 3. That 3 should match with what number on the vertex? The X value. That's why we labeled it X and Y. X equals the X value of the vertex. Domain. Domain is going to be what? All real numbers. We went over why that is. We went over why it's all real numbers yesterday. Range. Range is tougher, but it makes it so much easier when you label minimum and maximum. We always write the domain and the range from minimum to maximum, from lowest to highest. Now that -9 is a minimum value. So where would I place the -9? On the left, making the right side what? Infinity. Can I leave my answer this way? No, we have to flip it because on the STAR test, all of our answer choices are going to have the variable in the front. So if I flip it, I also have to flip the sign, changing it from less to what? So how would I write that in sentence form? Correct. All real numbers greater than, since it's underlined, or equal to, or equal to -9. Because when you flip it, technically you're putting that infinity, this infinity in phrase form and sentence form is all real numbers greater than or equal to -9. Okay, next one, number 5. Draw a line down your equal sign. Is everything on the same side? No, so I must move that 25. How do I move it? Subtract. We get x squared minus 25 equals 0. Okay. Can anybody guess what that y-intercept is going to be? Ooh. So let's go ahead and put it into our y equals x squared minus 25. We did say if it's a term that that's not attached to an x or x squared, that would be your y-intercept. So I'm hoping I see a -25. So what do we press after we put it into y equals? Zoom 6. Zoom 6 resets the screen. It gives you a -10 to 10, -10 to 10 window. But I can't see my what? Vertex. So if I cannot see the vertex, what do I press? Zoom 3. And I also have to press what? Enter. If you do not press enter, it will not zoom out. Okay, now I can see the vertex. What do I press next? Just trace. Just trace. And there's my y-intercept, 0, -25, just as we expected. All right, before we move on, is it going to be a maximum or minimum? Minimum. All right, let's find that vertex. Before I can press second trace, what do I need to do? Move the star, move it. In this case, we want to move it as low as possible. Now, a lot of people have been having trouble with these numbers. We're currently at -25. What is higher than the -25? Technically, Technically, negative 24 is a higher number than negative 25, because if I go up this way, I end up at a positive 0 and then a positive 1. So we're trying to find a number, Lord, don't know. Okay, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those numbers are up there. I'm just going to draw a little squiggle. So we're actually trying to find a number that's bigger than a negative 25. Let's see if we find it. If I go to the left side, I get negative 24, which negative 24 is technically a number that's more positive than a negative 25. So I can't, that's not lower. Negative 25 is still low. Then we go back up to negative 24. So still low as well. We stay with negative 25. Now I can press what? Second trace. Second trace, which one? 3. Just press the number 3. No need to go use the arrows to go down to number 3. Now I see the word left. How many times to the left? 1, 2. Enter. How many times to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Enter. Enter. I didn't press enter twice. Lord, I did it wrong. Hold on. Second trace 3. Give me a second. My calculator's been going crazy all day. There it is. Okay, so everybody get some sort of number that has an E on it? Yes. Okay, when you see that E, just write a 0. The way this is describing my 0 is it's telling us that there are 7 zeros in front of the 9149. I think everybody else should have gotten like 5 something, 4, 4, 5, 5 what? 5, 4, 1, 2 or something like that. That's what I've been getting all day. So it's like saying 0.0000005412. So just write a 0, okay? Just write a 0, 0, negative 25, which in this case is the same as my y-intercept. Label it XY, alphabetical order every time. My minimum value, in case we have one of those griddable questions, is going to be what? Negative 25. Now, all of these little tricks that I'm showing you work if you can find the vertex on an actual graph, like a physical graph where you have a picture of it. Axis of symmetry is an equation that starts with x equals 0. That goes with the x value of the vertex. If you can identify the vertex on that quiz tomorrow, hopefully you can remember how to do the rest of this. All right, domain will be all real numbers. And then the range. Label max min. Minimum on the left, maximum on the right every time. That negative 25 is a minimum value, so where do we place it? And what is the other side? Do we flip this? And how would I write this in sentence form? Correct. All real numbers greater than, we flipped it so it became greater than or equal to negative 25. Yeah. Last one, number 6. Do I have to make any changes to this equation? No. You do not. Have an h of x, g of x, f of x, n of x, p of x, anything of x. Same as having y equals. Let's go ahead and type this into our y equals screen. Okay, so clear that out. 2x squared minus x plus 1. Can anybody guess what the y-intercept is going to be? Good guess. All right. After you type in the equation, Zoom 6. We're checking to see if we can see can we see it? Yes, we can see it. Trick question. Do we have any x-intercepts on this one? We're not labeling the x-intercepts, but we do not, because the parabola does not touch the x-axis. So there's no zeros on this one. If you had an actual graph like on paper, you wouldn't have any zeros. Anyway, now that I can see the vertex, I can press what? Trace. And that first number that pops up represents my y-intercept. And it is exactly as what we expected, 0, 1, because we have this +1 here by itself with no x attached to it. Will it be a minimum or maximum? All right. Before I can press second trace to find the vertex, what do I need to do? Try to see how low it goes. What is less than 1? 0.8 or 0.9? 0.1. All right, so think about this. We have two decimals to pick from. We have 0.87 and 0.93. If I think money, which one is less, 93 cents or 87 cents? 87 cents. So we're gonna pick that one, okay? If it's a negative number, you pick the highest one. If it's a positive number, you pick the lowest, okay? Now we can press second trace. What number? 3. How many times to the left? 1, 2, enter. How many times to the right? 1, 2, 3, 4, enter, enter. And we get 0.24, 0.87, 0.24, 0.87. Okay, so write that down, 0.24, 0.87, which is the whole reason why we're learning how to use the calculator, because sometimes our vertex is not a perfect point. Okay, now our minimum value is going to be what? 0.87. Good. What will the axis of symmetry be? All right, we're getting the hang of it. X equals 0.24. The domain, all real numbers. Label the maximum and minimum on your range to help you. So 0.87 is going to go on what side? And what do we put on the right? Do we change the answer? Yes, we have to flip it. Y greater than 0.87. It now changes to y is greater than or equal to 0.87. In sentence form, all real numbers. Correct. Greater than or equal to, because it's underlined, greater than or equal to 0.87. Okay. Now, this one with the examples, you're going to glue it into page 111, the steps into 110. They should be side by side.